All right, my friends. Today is a good day, and it's obviously not because of a sky falling because of coronavirus, and it's definitely not because the weather's beautiful outside, because it's not, which is a rarity for South Texas. But why today is going to be a good day is that we are going to dive deep into Moto Guzzi motorcycle history, and we are going to talk all about this seriously beautiful and pristine Moto Guzzi Falcone. So, let's do it. This thing is seriously pristine, enough to where it made me nervous pulling it out of our little motorcycle soup lineup right there. Now, not only because this is pristine am I going to enjoy this, but Moto Guzzi has such an interesting background in history. It is Europe's longest continuously producing motorcycle manufacturing company. And now with that, you can imagine it comes with an interesting background story. So let's go ahead and get started with it. All right. Now, how Moto Guzzi Motorcycle started. It was basically 1921, but really like 1919. And it was three Italian men that shared a dream and a purpose, okay? First, you had Carlo Guzzi. Now, he was the mind behind the engineering. He was the mechanic to the two aircraft pilots. Then you had the two aircraft pilots. You had Giorgio Parodi. Now that guy was the money, all right? He was the heir to these rich Genovese shipping, magnates, and that guy had funds coming out of the wazoo. So that's great, right? Then you had Giovanni Ravelli, and that guy was the star. At this point, he was already a famous aircraft pilot, and he was a famous motorcycle race driver. So he was going to catch all the attention for the company. Now, that sounds like a good team, doesn't it? It does, totally. Now, sadly, though, they would lose one of the three teammates. In a very tragic twist of fate, Ravelli, the famous aircraft pilot, would perish in a plane crash just days after World War I was finished. So, a beautiful thing they did to honor and commemorate the fallen Ravelli was add the eagle and the eagle's wings to the Moto Guzzi emblem. Actually known as Moto Guzzi. They were known as GP. What that stood for was Guzzi Parodi, all right? And there came a time where Parodi, whose seriously wealthy shipping family, decided maybe they didn't want to mix their fine name with a startup motorcycle company, okay? And at that point, Carlo Guzzi got very lucky, and it switched to Moto Guzzi. All right, now fun fact on this one. In the early days of Moto Guzzi, any motorcycle that left the production line would bear the signature of the mechanic that put the engine together. Talk a little bit about Moto Guzzi's racing history. Now, at the time, most motorcycle manufacturers and car manufacturers were getting their customers' attention with racing, all right? Just like the old adage, race on Sunday, sell on Monday, you know? That was Moto Guzzi's strategy, and they nailed it, okay? So just a quick list of some of their victories that they did have. They had 3,329 official races under their belt. They had 8 world championships, 6 constructor championships, 11 Isle of Man TT victories, and pretty much they just dominated the motorcycle Grand Prix middleweight division. At the start of World War II, Moto Guzzi started making low-cost and smaller motorcycles, such as the 65cc Moto Leggera and then the 175cc Galletto scooter, which feel like Galletto means cookie in Spanish, so does it mean cookie in Italian? I don't know. If anybody knows Italian, please comment down below if Galletto means cookie. Elsewise, I'm just going to try and remember to Google it, so who knows if that'll happen. Anyways, then after World War II, Moto Guzzi was like, yeah, you know what? We are going to get into this scooter market, and they started making plans. At that point, Lambretta was like, no, thank you. Took that as a major threat. And with that, Lambretta said, you make scooters, we'll start making motorcycles, and we'll all be jacked up in this arena, right? Lambretta at that point had already made a prototype V-twin motorcycle and scared the bejesus out of Moto Guzzi, and so both of them decided to compromise and stay within their own play zones. Beer 30, and that means we are gonna walk right next door to our local brewery and buy a beer so I can enjoy it, and then I'll finish telling you the history of Moto Guzzi. How about that, sports fan? Now, a girl is mighty lucky she can just walk right to her brewery over here. It's probably gonna be a lonely walk. Everybody is quarantined. Thank you, Oasis Brewery, for the hook up. Be just in time for the quarantine. All right, a successful trip to Oasis Brewery. Beer 30, you know what I mean? Cheers to everybody. Please stay safe during all this coronavirus mayhem. All right. Now, Moto Guzzi was pretty innovative for their time, and they can claim a couple of firsts. One of them was the first to create a center stand. So eventually, Moto Guzzi would suffer a bit of financial difficulties, and then they would be bought and then sold, and then bought and then sold, and then bought and then sold, and then bought again, okay? And let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that time period. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about the years between 1967 to 1973, in which Moto Guzzi was purchased by SEIMM, which stood for something I'm about to butcher, just so you know, okay? It's Società Esercizio Industrie Moto Meccaniche. It's Italian, and I really, just Google it if you actually want to know how to say it. So it was purchased by them, and actually something kind of big happens during those years. That is when Moto Guzzi would produce their 90-degree V-twin engine. That would be Moto Guzzi's iconic engine for years. And how that engine actually all came about was the Italian government, through a competition amongst motorcycle manufacturers, for them to create a new Italian police bike. Interesting, right? The 90-degree V-twin has a longitudinal crankshaft orientation with the engine's transverse cylinder heads projecting on either side of the bike. Now let's talk about the De Tomaso ownership from 1973 to 2000. Yes, and I'm talking about that De Tomaso, indeed, Alejandro De Tomaso, which I can cheers to. That guy was a badass. He brought us the Pantera, the P7, okay? All under his reign of De Tomaso. He was an industrialist, a businessman, a rancher out of Buenos Aires, and he literally took the Moto Guzzi back to profitability, all right? And when he also bought Moto Guzzi from Sim or whatever, he purchased as well Benelli and Maserati. One of the main accomplishments during the De Tomaso years, still to this day, is the 1976 release of the 850 Le Mans, the legendary masterpiece superbike that still to this day people are lusting after. And then after the De Tomaso years, Aprilia would purchase it in 2000, and then 2004, Piaggio would purchase it. So now let's move on. From Silodrome. This shirt is epic. I did do a little Bill Bella checking to it though on the sleeves and the collar. Let's say you want to own an epic Silodrome shirt too, which you should. It is available, silodrome.com, your go-to source for online gasoline culture. All right, so the Moto Guzzi Falcone made its way onto the scene at the Geneva Auto Show in 1950. And it would continue production until 1963. A claimed power of 23 horsepower at 4,500 RPM, estimated top speed at 85 miles per hour, powered by a 499cc air-cooled overhead valve one-cylinder engine. Now, with the Moto Guzzi, the aesthetics are really all about the inner workings and mechanicals being visible, okay? It's an integral part of its appeal. You see how the engine is laid down transverse. You see the flywheel, okay? That is very much the DNA of Moto Guzzi. These traits are shared with the early 1921 prototypes coming out of Moto Guzzi, and this basic design even can be traced back to the first motorcycles that Carlo Guzzi was creating in 1919. All right, so you see this exposed flywheel right here. This is where the Falcone earned its nickname, the bacon slicer, the bologna slicer, all right? You can see why. Now, with early Falcones, you would see a pairing of this Rasa red with chrome. However, in 1952, there became a shortage of chrome. It became harder to come by, and you would start to see the pairing of this Rasa red and black, just like you see here. Now, during the 18-year span of production for the Falcone, 20,000 would be produced. And of those 20,000, actually, majority of them would be used for police and military use, okay? And those would be called turismos. The Moto Guzzi Falcone is considered one of the most legendary motorcycles to come out of the Italian motorcycle industry. All right, guys, I hope you had a good time, because obviously I did. I love this stuff. I love the history of cars and motorcycles. It's my jam. And let's say perhaps it's your jam too. If that is the case, then you should hit the subscribe icon, which I finally figured out is on that side. And you should hit the bell. Hit the bell icon, because evidently that will notify you of when I have posted another annoying video, and then you can watch it. And then you can make nice comments on it too. Yeah, you'd be like, oh, Caitlin, good job. We appreciate your efforts. Instead of being a troll, nobody has time for trolls. Yeah. So please do say something nice. And if you have nothing nice to say, keep it to yourself, because I'll find you. maybe you have a favorite Moto Guzzi motorcycle. Write it down below. Let me know. Tell me what you think about the Falcone. I mean, like, it's genuinely beautiful right there. Also, I'm going to show you some motorcycle soup. Tell me if you want me to make a video of one of these cars over here. Tell me maybe if you have a different video that you think I should make, right? About cars and motorcycles, obviously. But I hope everybody stays safe in these uncertain times, okay? And best way to do that is hunker down with your loved ones and support your local brewery. All right, guys, tell me what's next in my little motorcycle soup, huh? Let me know.